We are going to listen to 3 sets of interview questions and answers. The first in each pairing will be the more traditional skills-based interview question. The second will be the competency or behavioral-based questions we have been discussing during this course. Listen carefully to how the responses differ and how the type of question asked elicits different responses from the candidate. The first pairing will introduce you to Jocelyn, the director of an ABE program, and Joseph, a candidate for an ASE instructional position.
Joseph, this is a busy work environment. Can you tell me how you handle breaks in your routine, interruptions, and last-minute changes?
Sure. Well, I really like working in a fast-paced environment, and changes or interruptions don't bother me at all. I'm a really good multitasker.
How might this answer be different if asked a competency-based question?
Joseph, can you tell me a situation in which content for a project you were working on needed to be changed due to unexpected circumstances?
Sure. This happens a lot in my current position as we're working on adjusting our curriculum to align with the CCRs. This past summer, a small team of ASE teachers had taken on the task of working on the Level 3 scope and sequence and unit planning for ELA. Just as we had thought we had finished up the order of units to be covered, our Level 2 counterparts came to us to discuss the option of changing our plan to more closely mirror theirs. They had been working with the STAR program and were not able to be quite as flexible as we could be, so we said we would be willing to do that. It entailed quite a bit of reorganizing of units and lessons and some adjustments to our scope and sequences, but we pulled together as a team and were able to make the necessary changes to meet our September deadline. Never a dull moment in the world of ABE.
Next, we will check in on John and Abir. John is a member of the interview team for a new ABE program director in Massachusetts, and Abir is a candidate for that position.
Abir, have you ever had to get a point across to different types of people?
Yes, I have, John. As an administrator in an ABE program in Norwood, I find myself needing to interact with all different types of people all the time: students, staff, and other administrators.
Let's take a listen to how a competency-based answer might be just a bit different.
Abir, can you describe a situation in which your communication skills have allowed you to make a meaningful difference?
Good question, John. Yes, I just recently had an experience that will speak to this question. As an administrator for the Norwood ABE program, we share space with the local high school. Space is at a premium in the building at this time, and we often find ourselves spread all over the building. This year, the school committee was considering asking us to leave the space, as they felt they needed the classrooms in the evening for homework club and other activities for the students. This was really concerning for myself and my staff, and I requested the opportunity to present my case to the full school committee at their next public meeting. They kindly added me to their agenda. In the audience were the school committee members, the superintendent and principal from the high school, many high school faculty, parents, and students. I had also asked my staff to come along to show their support, and several of our students came, along with their children, some of whom attend the high school as well. It was a busy agenda, and I was allotted only 5 minutes to state my case, so I prepared my comments accordingly. I won't give you my entire spiel, but got to say my piece, introduce my students and staff, and encourage them to rethink their options so as to allow us to remain in our current space. I was so thrilled the next Wednesday when we got the call telling us that, after my comments at the meeting, the school committee had been able to find some alternative rooms for the homework club and other activities, and we would be able to stay put in our current space.
Finally, let's take a listen to Lee and Carol. Carol is a candidate for a Level 2 ESL opening in an ABE program in Massachusetts. Lee is the program director trying to identify the best candidate for the job.
Have you ever given someone instructions on how to complete a task, only to have them do it wrong?
Oh, definitely. As a Level 2 ESL teacher, this happens all of the time. It just comes with the territory, especially as I'm getting to know a new class. I am able to catch on pretty quickly to the real level of a class after a couple of weeks.
A competency-based question and response would sound something like this.
Carol, can you give me an example of a time when you feel you did not communicate effectively with your class?
Surely. As an ESL2 instructor, I find this happens more than I'd like. I sometimes have expectations of what students will know when they enter my class, only to find they are not quite at the level I expected once they get to my class. That's okay, though, as I am happy to meet students where they are and help them to progress. One of the activities I used to do on the first nights of class, as an icebreaker of sorts, was the 3-question interview. I would ask students to interview their classmates and ask them their name, the town city they live in now, and where did they come from. Simple enough, right? After a couple of classes had a very difficult time understanding the term interview, wrote down the information for themselves, did not ask their classmates, or were too shy or embarrassed to talk with students they did not yet know, I decided this was not the best icebreaker for night 1. Instead, I now model the activity by writing name, city, town, home country on the board, and answering the questions for myself. I then ask each of them while pointing to the question on the board. We learn a lot about each other, no one is self-conscious, and the semester is off to a much more positive start.
These dramatic examples serve to demonstrate, in an exaggerated fashion perhaps, the way in which asking a candidate to think about past experience and provide examples or describe specific situations encourages a more meaningful response. Remember, past performance predicts future behavior.